can't take each of these. You can't focus on one and abandon the other. What you will do is that you find out that you can't really function effectively as a business. Focusing on the product development, and you're not thinking of money, you're not thinking of sales, you're not thinking of so many other things. This is just few things I'm able to highlight here. I mean, you'll find out that it will be a lot more difficult. It will be a lot more difficult for you to function. So, in this case, it's important as we're building, it's important we look and think of businesses as systems, and each of these systems are to be considered why you're doing anything you're doing. So this is also going to be key for us as we explore further, how we can go about building our market, especially growing business and the like. So first, I would like to establish some principles that are needed or that are required for growing a business, or when it comes to business growth and that. So in a nutshell, the framework for strategic business growth is really laid out by these foundational principles. And as a founder, it's important you have an anchor point. So that's just what I'm trying to say here. It's important you have an anchor point that as a instructor to help you understand how you need to grow. For example, you could decide to anchor your startup growth strategy on purpose. You have a big purpose you're working towards, and that will make you start thinking of, okay, what can I do when it comes to HR? What can I do when it comes to sales and marketing? How can I align my purpose to HR? For example, your purpose could be to serve 2,000 customers, or to serve 10,000 customers for some people, depending on whatever purpose it is for you. And then what that means, if you consider that single purpose, you can use that to, look at every other factors or every other aspect of your business. How can we, during our sales and marketing engagement, what numbers should we be looking at to help us arrive at this 10,000 customers that we are looking to capture, right? So we have two major. So I'm going to be discussing two major. One of them is purpose. I've talked about it earlier on, and then the second one is venture capital, or I could say we could call this investment as well. So if you're also looking to build a startup that is investment worthy, or that can attract venture capital, that can be a strong foundational principle for you to further grow your business as well. And we'll explore and see why it's important that you have a foundation when you are thinking of business growth. And this is important because I think I remember one of my discussions with a startup founder, and one of the things that the founder mentioned, just give me a second. Building or having any of these two foundational principles as an anchor point can also help you build and grow your business. So the first we'll look at is investor with the mindset of, okay, I need money, or invest. But you need to also understand how things work on their end. If you have a good understanding of how things work on their end, you'll be able to, secure the funding you needed. What does that mean? What that means is that you'll be able to speak in terms that they understand, and it increases your chances of really landing or securing any deal, with these guys. So again, it's important to ask for money, but more importantly, it's vital you understand what is important to an investor. So some of the key factors to consider, or some of the key things that investors care about is, now I'll paint the picture for you. If you're looking for venture capital, for example, the way venture capital is structured is that these venture funds that are coming to make investments in companies, they are just they also see them as a startup too that went to look for investment, from investors. So they have the type of investors that they have is called limited partners, right? So these are individuals, usually high net worth individuals or corporates that have some cash set aside for investment, or even banks, or even state governments as well, depending on the type of fund you are discussing with. But yeah, they have investors that have invested in their business, and typically a fund, the life cycle of a particular fund is roughly 10 years. 10 years. So what that means is, let's say a venture capital venture capital A raises their first fund from their limited partners of a total of $5 million, for example. So what that means that they are expected to return the proceeds of the investment after 10 years. So now what happens is that venture capital A begins to look for startups that are within their purview, that are within their investment thesis that they would invest in. So this is when they start looking at some criteria. Okay, are you pre-revenue or post-revenue? Do you have a team? Do you do this? Do you do that? Just all those due diligence to ensure that, yes, you check out for the type of company they are looking to invest. So by the time they disburse this $5 million, they have to wait until the next 10 years before they can, make money. Now, that is one. Another thing to consider from an investment perspective is that these same investors, let's say they're able to invest in 10 companies, for example. So let's say they're able to invest in 10 companies, let's say $500,000 each in those 10 companies. And typically we know that statistics have shown that, 1 out of 5 companies, right, survive. Yeah, and most startups, majority of startups, they die off within the first 3 years. It used to be first 5 years, but within the first 3 years of their existence. And this also happens to even companies that have money, even companies that have raised funds. So if you're thinking the lack of fund is the only thing that is needed to make your startup succeed, it's not entirely true, right? So startups that are heavily funded also fail, right? So, and that's the same thing that happens to these guys. So out of these 5 companies, for example, they invest, only 1/3 of these 5 companies would succeed. So 1/3 of this company would fail. 1/3 of this would return exactly the same amount they invested, and 1/3 is expected to give them more returns, right? So these are all statistics, based off of projections or what has been happening so far within the venture capital space, right? So what investors are looking for mostly, they're not looking for the company that will fail. So this is why they will run you through the due diligence process in order to know if you're a good fit, right? So what that means is they are using the yardstick of the company that would make them the expected return on investment. So typically, if you see under these key factors to consider, you see that I put that you should educate and show investors how they will achieve their desired return on investment. And for most funds, it's usually within that 10 times the return on investment. So if you're looking at, if you are a company that they've invested in, let's say this company invested, so they're looking that you make them, if they invest 500,000 in your company, they're looking that you make them 5 million, typically after 10 years. So if you have this understanding, it will even shape, just this alone would shape the way you prepare your financial projections. So it can capture the expected return on investment, for the investor. So for example, you are approaching an investor to talk to the investor. You're not telling them that you need 500,000 to do A, B, C, but you're also telling them that, yes, invest in my business, invest 500,000 in my business, and I'll show you how I can make you 10 times I can show you how it will make you 5 million after 4 years, after 10, after 5 years, after 6 years. When you start a conversation with an investor on that note, it really makes them prioritize your discussion. So what that means is that if he or she, if the investor has about 20 companies that has approaching them at that time, and you happen to make a presentation in such manner, it really puts the spotlight on you. And this is a good thing this is a good way to approach these guys, because it's important that you are speaking in terms that it shows that you understand how they operate, how they function. It shows that you have an understanding of this, and you also come here to help them address what really matters to them, right? So this is one way. So this is just one example. And why is this a foundation? Why is this a foundation? Because by the time you do this, you've run the analysis and you've run the financial modeling, and you're able to see that, okay, for me to make an investor that invests 500,000 into my business, 5 million after 4 years or after 5 years, I need to be making in revenue, let's say 2.5 million or 250,000 every year over the next 5 years consistently. So now that has given you an anchor point. You now break it down. Okay, 250,000 every year divided by 12. That gives you a figure. So that, let's say 100,000 for example. That means you need to be making 100K every month. Just for example, that could be too much, right? So, but yeah, you get the picture. 250,000. If you break that down by 12 months, that shows you that you need to be making about 20,000 plus every month. So what that means, you now narrow that down. That has given you a monthly sales figure that is needed or that is expected to reach your target, exit valuation, typically. So what you now do is this: you consider if your goods sales, if your product or service sells for, let's say, $500, for example. You sell one product $500, for example. So what that does to you now, you break down. Okay, you need a monthly target of 20,800 every month. You break that down to understand how many products you need to sell at a $500 rate to hit that figure. So that means you need to be doing a total of about 42 sales. You need to be selling 42 of your products, whatever it is, 42 of your products every month. Have you seen how just considering an investment from an investor has brought you to analyze sales, analyze revenue and the likes. So it doesn't stop here. So 42, you have 42. So that means you need to be selling 42 of your product and service every month for the next 5 years at least. On average, to make sure that you hit the target valuation. So now you have this. You now think, okay, who and what do I need to get this done? Okay, I need to hire 5 salespeople. I need to hire this. I need to do this. I need to do that. What does that do? You have to pay them. You figure out how much that costs. So you see, just by thinking of this, just by thinking of investment, building a business that is investable, has already given you a foundation for business growth. So what that means is now, okay, for example, you have 42. You need to be selling 42 products every month to hit your target. So you look at what you have. Okay, how can I do this? How can I get this? You look at your sales strategy. Remember the intro picture I showed you, where you have different gears with different aspect of your business. So you see, if you follow the story, you see how each of these is hinting on your need to really discuss and look at those things. You think of strategy. What is your sales strategy like? Is it what your current staff can do? Do you need to get strategic partnerships to help you meet up with these numbers? So depending on what you're selling, you could look for a business that has your target audience as part of their core customer group. You could go into partnership with them, and this automatically gives you access to their pool of customers. So for example, Emmanuel Akanji, you were in touch with a lady then that had an association of farmers. You see, so such partnerships has given you access to her. Let's say she has 3,000 farmers on her platform. That has given you access to 3,000 people that you could run marketing and sales for, right? So it's just thinking of this really opens you up to considering so many other aspects considering every other aspect as to how you can get this done. And this informs you. It helps you grow in a healthy and strategic way. This way, you are doing so. People could be seeing. You could tell your sales people that you need to make sure you are selling 42 products every month. For them, they think it's just 42. But on the back end, you know from a strategic point of view that you need this 42 to be consistent in doing this to ensure that you hit your targeted valuation. This way, you've made a good return on investment for the investor, and you have a strong relationship with such investor. And tomorrow, if you want to raise an additional capital, it becomes easier for you because you have a proven track record of achieving what you've set out to do. So this is considering venture capital as a precept or as a premise, for business growth. So the second foundation I spoke of was purpose. So let's look at purpose. How can purpose give you a good foundation, a good launch pad to start something? So why I picked on purpose was this. When you're a purpose-driven founder and you are building a purpose-driven startup, which is our end goal with you guys at the end of this program as well, to ensure that your business is not just in needs to make profit, but also to ensure that it's a responsible business, both from the environmental side of things and also on the people and society side of things, right? So if you have a strong purpose, so this is why it has to be something that comes from deep within. It's not something that you guys are faking or something you just want to do for the sake of doing things, right? If you notice, we've not spoken anything about the ESG side of things. We want you guys to get to a point first, so that when we're doing this, it really makes sense to you guys. So it's something that is very critical and important for us even on the program. So we'll get to that. We didn't forget. I just need to say that here. So ambition or purpose is very important because for a founder or a startup that understands why they exist, it's enough reason for you guys for you to really push and grow your business. For example, you want to provide, let's say you are EdTech, providing educational services for, let's say, higher institutions or maybe K-12 children, just for the fact that we have some foundational problems when it comes to access to education, quality education. So primary school students is a problem in the country. So you could decide to build a solution for that because you've seen how ravaged this, especially people that can't afford access to education. It means that most of them they are likely to be illiterate and uneducated. So let's say you decide to have a purpose. Okay, I think my purpose is to make access to quality education to low-income earners. That becomes a purpose. In fact, you can go as far as saying, okay, for us at this company, we want to provide access to education to 50,000 children by the end of 2050, for example. That becomes a purpose. So you break it down, 2050, 50,000 children. Okay, from now to 2050, how many years do you have? So that means you have to break that 50,000 students or children times the number of years that you have to get to this. Let's say it's 10 years, for example. Break 50,000 divided by 10. That gives you a number that you're supposed to meet up with every year. Break it further down to per month. It gives you a number that you're supposed to do per month. Like that. So these are all things that you can, leverage, to really build a strategic growth. So, for example, people are seeing you are making your activities going on, but to them it could just look like an activity on the surface. But for you, you understand that you are actually heading towards a purpose, heading towards a dream. You could exceed that number. That becomes a plus, right? Even when you're communicating it to stakeholders, you can tell them, yes, we've done 50,000 plus. You've exceeded your target. People can use that. You can use that in a strategic way to even communicate progress and traction so far, right? So these are all. This is also an example, a good foundation for a founder to also hinge their business growth on, right? So it's important we leverage the power of purpose in order to achieve, strategic growth, but with a goal right now, right? And one thing this does is that it also helps to amplify what I like to call the unfair advantage of a brand, right? So this really shows how deeply concerned you are about children or students that don't have access to education, right? I don't know if you're following, please say something.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm following.
So this is also another way. So remember, we're talking about foundations. We've talked about venture capital or investment, and we're discussing purpose. So in fact, you can go as far as using both, and this is one thing we also expect from you guys, even at the end of this program, to understand purpose, to have a purpose, to be driven by purpose, right? I mean, Ike you already have something that is more or less like a very concrete purpose. It's a very important one at that as well. Just let it become part of you. Yes.
Yeah, your audio is kind of fading out.
Okay, how's it now? Has it been like that for you?
Yes. No. It's much better now.
All right, thank you for pointing that out. Please, if at any point you can hear me, can just stop me. There's no need to be talking, thinking you guys are listening. Just stop me at any point if you can hear me, so that I can make some adjustments. So yeah, like I was saying, for you, Emmanuel Adekunle, you have a purpose at least is very clear cut. All you just need is to let that become truly a part of yourself, and extend that not just to yourself, to your entire team. It's not something. So the thing about purpose is something you have to have. Let it be part of your culture, or your organizational culture. So anybody that joins, they understand this is how this works. This is how this organization works. This is how this organization is structured to function. So they just key into that kind of culture and then flow, right? So purpose can be a very important tool. And like I was saying, it has a way of helping the company amplify their unfair advantage. So let's say, for example, you have a competitor in the ed tech space as well, serving the same kind of customers. Now, for them, one thing is to leave. When you're no longer in the trap of competition, I know people say competition is good. I mean, everybody have their own perspective. So one thing, if you can avoid as a founder, that trap of competition, oh, this person is doing this, oh, let me do this. It has a way of helping you hit target. But let's say the person doesn't hit that number anymore. Let's say the competition is no longer there. What now happens to you? You drop, you relax. But if you tie things to purpose and ambition, for example, it's more than competition for you. So your baseline is to hit, that 50,000. So anything you do is an extra. So you can use that to even test yourself. Especially if you're truly driven by, your interest to provide access to quality education. You will the problem is not just here in Nigeria. And believe me, 50,000 is not. If you are considering Lagos State alone, 50,000 is still not much. It's still not enough to address the entire students that don't have quality access to education here in Lagos State alone. So as a business person, you're traveling to other states, you're traveling to other countries, you're seeing people with far worse conditions within that customer group. What does that do to you? You could maybe wake up and say, no, okay, this 50,000, I want to double it. It gives you a healthy kind of competition, so to speak. Than tying down, oh, this person is doing this, or let's do that. I mean, these are all, foundations. These are all things you can use to benchmark yourself for business growth, right? So some key factors to consider is also to understand that purpose is beyond vision statement. It's something that has to be embodied, within your operations. And we're not just telling you to write purpose in your BMC just for the sake of having filling out something on that part. It needs to be something that comes out truly from that place of knowing, from that place of understanding. Okay, this is what I want to do, and this is my why. This is why I want to do this. I think I shared something with you, Emmanuel Adekunle. I'm still waiting to get the response from that, and I will share that with you as well, Emmanuel Akonji, when the time is right.
So is it the core story vision mission?
Yes.
Those two workshops. Oh, I've done. Okay, I've already done that. I uploaded it on Trello.
Okay, that's fine. I'll check it out. But that's fine. Okay, so yeah, I will do the same thing for you, Adekunle Emmanuel. I'm just waiting for you to get somewhere so that everything is timely. If you've noticed, that's how we're also following up with you guys to ensure we're giving you things that are needed, as you are, moving along. So the second point also, another key factor to consider while building is to understand what growth objectives are required across the entire business factors in order to achieve that company's purpose. Right? So you need to have an understanding. Okay, let's say your target is 50,000 by 2050. Okay, how many people do you need in terms of staffing to get this done? So if you've discussed HR, what strategy are you going to deploy to get this done? We've talked about strategy. What would it look like? What would be the burn rate for me? What would be my cost of customer acquisition? What would be my customer acquisition cost? You look at the finance aspect. You look at different business factors to understand how those areas are going to be impacted by this singular purpose, which is to serve 50,000 students by the end of 2050. So, again, this is one important way you can, these I've shared just two foundational principles, which I think is key, that is important for you as a founder to, place your anchor point on when, you're thinking of growing your business. It's important you have like somewhere to really stand on. Okay, this is my foundation. I'm doing this. I'm looking for 50 customers every month because I want to make 10x return or 20x return for my investors. That's one. That's good. Okay, I'm looking for 10 customers every month because I have a purpose of serving 50,000 students every month. That way, even when you're communicating to stakeholders or you're even pitching, it makes sense. It shows you have a direction, So I have seen a lot of founders that have projections that don't. In fact, that's if they have. Most founders have I've seen. Most of them don't even have a financial model or projection, to show, okay, this is what we've thought of in terms of sales in the next 3 years. The ones I've seen, there's no direction. They're just doing, okay, let's just increase it by 10. It really doesn't allow them to really challenge themselves, so to speak. Because by the time you start thinking of this, for example, that of making a 10 times return on investment for investment, it challenges you. I do financial modeling for some startups I work with, and I myself, it challenges me. I look at amount, I know this is quite ambitious. So okay, how can we? So that brings me to start discussing strategy with the founder. Once the founder can show to me that yes, they have a well thought out strategy, and not just that, they already have foundations already done so far in terms of traction that can help them hit the target. That's fine. That way, it gives you confidence even when you're trying to talk with an investor or talk with any stakeholder on, okay, this is how you justify hitting this number, even though it looks ambitious and likes. And it opens your eyes to see the potential of your business as well. So at this point, I'd just like to touch on partnerships as an important tool for business growth.
Hey, what happened?
So everybody is making waves. So what that means is just energy plus energy meeting. So
Okay, now.
you're a founder, you're building this, and you can see some level of synergy between what we do. And I think I can be able. I think your energy level matches my energy level. I think it makes sense for us to go into partnership, and you see things begin to happen, right? So key factors to consider when considering partnership is just this African proverb that I have here. So it says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So that's why it's important you also consider partnership as a good tool. So let's look into details. How can you get key partnerships? And I remember some of us, if not both of you, at this stage, you are also at the point of. Let's just explore briefly here how we can get key partnerships for startups. Yes, I can hear you.
You said we are at the point of looking for important something, but I didn't really get that.
We are at the point of getting key partnerships. You're at the point of signing partnerships. You are looking for partnerships. Both of you are actually at this point looking for partnerships that will help you guys. For you, it could be what do you call it? Waste, plastic waste recyclers or something like that. That could be one of the partnerships you're looking for. People have given production. So I think it's quite timely for us to also consider how we can go about this. So the first thing here is positioning. Positioning is the first thing. So if you look at, I'm just going to explain this with the picture I have here on my slide. So if you look at the image here under positioning, you have every other person is colored white, and then you have, let's assume this is you, differently colored. And every other person is standing in a certain posture, but you have a different kind of posture. So I'm just trying to explain positioning. So as a business, as a startup founder, it's important your positioning, your brand positioning is key, right? How you position in the market, how you position in the market, how is that positioning going to help you fulfill your company objective and key results, you know? So from the image here, this guy knows he wants something from someone probably in the front, and he doesn't need to come off as every other person. So this is why you need to have a unique selling point. What is unique about you? What is unique about the brand? What is unique about the solution you're providing to the market? You know, and how are you communicating that? That is also something else. This guy would probably he could have probably positioned himself like every other person, but he's trying to do something extra to get extra attention from whoever it is they are looking to meet, right? So that's one. You need to have a clear understanding of who you are, what you're bringing to the market, how you're different from every other, competitor in your space, and then how you communicate that. I know we've taught you guys so many things. We have so many master classes so far in the past few weeks. We've discussed about branding. We've talked about, name selection for those of you that need to rebrand the names you have. And you see why these whole things are important. I just need you guys to take it serious and understand that we are headed somewhere. Again, if you don't understand where we are heading, go back, take a look at the curriculum we sent to you. See that we are actually headed somewhere with all the things, all the master classes we've been teaching you guys so far, right? So it's important you prepare your positioning. We've shared resources. I can be confident to say that we've shared resources with you guys. Brand story, stuff like that. If you are really serious about that, and you didn't just see it as just, let me get this deliverable done. They asked me for this, let me just get this done. If you're not doing it, I keep telling you guys are not doing any of these things for us. We're not doing it to mark you good or bad. Like, it's about helping you guys grow and build something constructively. So that's what we've been doing. So everything we've been, sharing with you guys in master classes and the likes is designed so that you guys are growing strategically. So it's important. You see, positioning is also one key thing to get right when you're looking for partnerships. So, for example, there are some people there are some doors that can't even open for you at this time, just because you don't have, maybe let's say you don't have a brand name, you don't even have an online presence, just something as simple as that, or you don't even have a custom website, even a custom email. Let me tell you guys, that's how far you can go. Okay, you're a business person, you're talking to me with your Gmail account, you're not ready. Like, people are busy actually. Business people are busy, and they're looking for, they can only give attention to people that they find serious or they think are serious. So this is why positioning is important. Branding is important. How you carry yourself as a brand is also important. And you can do that by, constructively telling your story well, right? So that's one part. That's one thing to get right when you're considering, getting key partnerships are important for your growth. The next point to consider is objective. You need to have set clear objectives. So, for example, you don't need to, I don't think it's a waste of everybody's time, even your time, to approach someone for partnership, or because you hear that everybody's partnering with this guy, you just approach them without having, okay, this is what I want. These are the things. I think just before we jumped on this call, I and Benjamin were on a call with another, an ecosystem player, in the startup ecosystem, where we are finalizing, our partnership agreement, and there were clear objectives. In fact, what we were discussing was, okay, this is what we'll start with in the near term, and this is what we'll start with. This is business. We're discussing clear. This is what we expect. I do this, you do that, and it's something we'll see on the next point. Those clear objectives you have has to propose or offer a win-win situation, both for yourself and also for whoever it is you're looking for to get partnership. So I've seen a lot of founders, you are looking for partnership just because of what you can get from the person. I mean, let me tell you the gospel truth. Nobody will respond to you because you need to be bringing value. You need to be bringing value to the table. So I'm doing this. If I don't even go with telling what you want from them, tell them what you can bring to them. Then if they think that is valuable, the next question they will ask you is, okay, what do you want in return? You tell them what you want, So whatever partnership you're looking to get, first thing to think about is positioning so it can be as visible as possible because these guys are seeing a lot of partnership opportunities every day and they have to consider this. So the first thing is to position yourself. The next thing is to set clear objectives for whatever partner you're looking to work with. Then the next thing is when you finally get an intro or when you finally get to reach out to the organization or individual, make sure you have and you're proposing a win-win value, a win-win partnership. A partnership proposition that has a win-win for each other. So if you look at this, my diagram here, you have the main guy. If you look at these are more or less like indicators. So it's clear that he's at a higher point. Let's say he's a big guy in the industry, and this guy is still here, but he needs to get up there. Remember, we're talking about building your market and business growth. This guy needs to get from this point to probably the highest point. That could be his purpose, that could be his ambition, his vision, or whatever it is. And he knows if he wants to do this on his own. Remember, if you want to move fast, go alone. If you want to, forgotten the African proverb, but yeah, that's the picture. He knows that for him to get here, he needs to partner alongside with people. So the partnership you could go for could be someone here or someone here, but he decided to go to someone closer to his major or his final ambition, so to speak, right? So what happens here is, given what I've explained so far, he's been able to position himself very well. We can see that from this point. And he has gone as far as, setting clear objectives, which is obviously why he has proposed something that this guy finds important. And what's he doing? He's making out his time to leave whatever he's doing to bring this guy up, because whatever this guy has proposed to him is going to help him get here, because he himself is also looking to get here. So you see there's a synergy between where what this guy wants and what this guy wants, despite they might be at different levels, right? So this is just to sum, these three major points that I've shared with us on how we can get key partnerships. And so yeah, any question before I go over discussing this chart that I have here? Any questions so far?
None, sir.
All right.
Well, I also don't have any question.
Okay, awesome. So yes, let's look at. I'm just going to explain briefly what I have here. So this is also just trying to explain growth strategies in a little bit more context. So we're looking at a matrix. It's called the Ansoff matrix. It's something depending on your stage, your business stage or your growth stage, just a matrix to help guide you on how to, approach business growth. So, for example, if you're looking to target new markets, we have on this as this new market and existing markets. We also have existing products and new products. So you are, let's say, in your cases now, I think both of you, okay, EK Bricks, for example, you are looking to, you are exploring new markets and you're coming up with a new product, right? So following the Ansoff matrix, the type of growth strategy you need to follow is, a diversification kind of. So what this means, when we look at it, we look at some examples of companies that have, explored each of these growth strategies. But yeah, diversification in this stage is you are exploring a new market. So everything is still new. You don't even know which industry is stick. For example, you're looking to start with construction sector. And I also know on the pipeline you have textile, fashion industry and the likes. The truth is, you don't know what will stick. So a good strategy for you would be to have more or less like, different prototypes for these different sectors you're looking to target. You have the prototype for construction and then explore the market and see how that looks like. So a good growth strategy is one that helps you to diversify, so you can understand what sticks, and then double down whatever you find that there's some form of stickiness with customers. Right? So at this stage, playing safe or just focusing on one segment might not really work out well for you. Why? Because you're coming to a new market, you're coming with a new product, and virtually, it's not something yet mainstream. So you need to be testing different waters to know what will stick. You could maybe find that the fashion industry or the fashion industry is actually more attuned to your product offering. So what you can do so that you can build traction and build revenue that can help you stay afloat, then you can start looking for a better strategy to approach the construction sector. So that's just what this metrics really is trying to help us understand. So for someone like yourself that is exploring new markets and new products, you need to be considering diversification a lot until you get. And the reason is not so that you say you are doing different things or servicing different things. It's actually to understand where you need to understand the market that is your cash cow. Which of these markets you're exploring is actually the biggest for you in terms of revenue generation and the likes, right? So that will be the strategy right now as you are just starting out. It's important, right? So if you have existing products, I'm not just going to dwell in all these ones because I just want to give us things that can help us at this stage. And for you, Simbarus, so it's a bit tricky right now because we are still trying to understand exactly what your approach to the market, what it looks like, and what strategy will work well for you. But yes, let's. I want to assume that your market, you are targeting existing markets, so to speak. And so what you should be looking at, could also, play across these two sectors. So I know you don't have any product yet. Let's just, if I want to go with the current project or the current inbound you have in terms of fulfilling this delivery for the order you have currently that you're currently considering. So what that means is you are actually on this stage, trying to understand how to get this done. You're trying to seal things on the logistics side. So if you already have a structure already, okay, you already have partnerships, that means you already have an existing product you can just put out there on the desk. But yeah, you also at the same time, developing your products, developing your service, how it will look like, and at the same time, you're also trying to get some level of market penetration in terms of access to the customers that you want. So, for example, if you're able to fulfill this, it gives you some level of credibility that can help you further get access to other wholesalers that would need you to also supply it for them. So yeah, this is just a bit a little thing for us to really guide ourselves in terms of what the strategy should we be exploring given our developmental stage. So if you let's look at some examples, right? So some companies that have explored each of the growth strategies that I showed us in the answer of matrix. And so the first one is market development. So let's say you're a company and your growth strategy is to explore market development. So typically, this strategy is really about entering new markets with an existing product, so to speak. So that would mean you have to the Shift Club. They had a very big competitor that was Gillette. Gillette, I don't know how to pronounce that, but Gillette, yeah. So Gillette was already a dominant player in the industry. So they sell, shaving sticks and the likes for men, and they dominated the market at the point. So what these guys did was to explore a growth strategy of exploring new markets, right? So, and at the time, Gillette was actually, they had this model where if you have to be buying new razor blades to replace. They had this old shaving sticks that it's a hardware, so to speak. So what you always do, what I've parents did then, or our fathers did then, was to always buy razor blade. So they have lots of it. So that was the model they came up with. But these guys came with a different approach, which helped them to sell their product at a very cheap price. And the approach was they really introduced this aspect of, using plastic, just a one-time shave something. Not really a one-time, as much as you can use before the battery, the razor, loses. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
like before the razor loses its edge or something.
You said? Yeah. Before, exactly. Before the razor loses its edge. So they were the ones that introduced that aspect. And then what they did was target different geography, because then Gillette was already a dominant player in the US market. So I think they targeted an Asian country. They started from there to come into slowly into the American market as well. So they also explored a new segment of customers. I think it was more of younger people, not, Gillette has always been there, so they were growing with the generation, right? So they also looked at targeting, I think travelers or something. I've forgotten that story entirely, but they were entirely targeting a different customer segment, just so that they can, some level of traction, and of course, be able to prove to the older generation that yes, we have a much more flexible product that is even cheaper. Their product was selling for $1 then, right? So they also explored a new channel to also reach these customers. So they also explored, we're targeting millennials and the likes, younger generations. Let's look for, a more suitable ways by which we can, address or reach these guys. So this is just what it means to explore, to follow the growth strategy of market development, entering new market, with an existing product, new market that has an existing product already. So the next point was, market penetration. Facebook was the one that tried this out, and this strategy typically involves increasing your market share in an existing market. So they came in with with low prices and then direct marketing. So so it's really about further, increase, just typically what it means here, increasing your market share. How much? So let's say Facebook has about, I don't know if 2 point something billion users, but it wasn't always like this, So what they did was they made it their platform free, so it's free for you to sign up on their platform. And at the time, I think they are one of those that really, pioneered this movement as well in terms of making your platforms free. There are some platforms then that some part of their platform was free. Then if you want to get the full feature, some social platforms then, if you want to get the full feature, you need to sign up. You need to pay a subscription and the likes. But one of their strategy was, we are exploring market penetration as a growth strategy. What do we need to do? And you have to consider your competitors to get this right, to come up with a strategy that will help you. So one thing that they understood was to make their platform free, entirely free, and so I can encourage more people to sign up and the likes. And they also explored direct marketing to their customer segment as well. And then diversification is also another growth strategy, and Amazon was one of the companies that also tried this out, and they became successful in it. And typically the strategy just involves creating new products for new markets. So you are exploring the Canadian market, you look at the market, understand what the market is about, and provide them with a tailored product or solution. Now, for example, your KCK bricks, the final product you provide for construction, those in the construction sector will be different from the final product you provide for your customers in the textile or fashion industry, right? So you're creating a new product. You have to create new product for the new market that you're looking to diversify. So if you have another industry you'll be looking to also explore, you have to also come up with a new product for them. So, and it's new both internally and also new when they are comparing other products or other alternatives, So it has to be, so for example, in the textile industry as well, you're coming up using recycled plastics as opposed, or recycled PET as opposed in or making new new PET materials for the clothes. Then, so what Amazon did was to offer an improved customer experience, which has been one major thing they've been getting right so far. This has really helped them. And they just got this part right. The next thing, what they've been doing so far is just to repeat, rinse and repeat. We're approaching a new market. The goal is to offer a good and improved customer experience. You look at what is currently happening here. Believe me, when Amazon comes to Nigeria today, let's say they decide to come to Nigeria, for example, don't expect them to be giving you self-checkout and self-buying. What's this feature they have in the American markets where you won't see anybody in the shop. You just see robots and the likes just attend to it. They can't just come up with that. That would be too far-fetched for us. So they have to come up with a strategy that helps them, one, offer an improved customer experience, but at the same time, something that is tailored to our market stage in Nigeria. Right? So this is just an example of company that have explored this growth strategy. Then you have lastly on product development. And Google was one of the companies that really tried this. Google was one of the companies that really tried this strategy, and this involves creating a new product for existing market. And what they did was to tailor the product for the customer, and the new product should complement existing products that they have. And if you look at the way they've been structured so far in terms of their product offering, you see that virtually every product that Google is bringing to the market is connected to each other. Now you have Gmail, you have Google Meet, that's their own version of Zoom, so they're able to link that to their entire. So you have Google Ads, you have Google Search Engine, so it's linked, and that way you're really helping your customer see your product or two as a one-stop solution where you can virtually do both your search. You search for something, you get responses you need, or you can even run ads in case you want to go ahead as far as amplifying your own offering or whatever it is you have. So, but yeah, these are some of the companies that have been able to try out some of these strategies we've explored. So for yourself, what you can do is to look for which one works for you, which one sits well with you, which one it's important at given your development stage, and it's important to have all these things figured out so that you can have like a foundation that helps you to really have a structured kind of growth. So remember we talked about principles, foundations, and principles that you can leverage on when you want to plan your growth strategy. You see that you are coming at it from the aspect of building a startup that is investment worthy, that is venture, that can be backed by venture capital, or you're going from the aspect of our purpose, right? So this brings me to the end of today's section, and if you have any questions, this would be a good time to look at that. So, thank you.
So I have one question.
Okay.
Yes, sir. For the fabrics now, that's the fashion industry. Essentially, we are not really bringing a new product to the market, but yes, for the construction, is a new product. So, like, does the strategy have to be run all through, or is it by product or by, say, maybe company?
So I think the best way to answer this question would be, my advice would be to really, so you see those growth strategies that I shared, you don't have to just focus on one. I think let your customer needs be the thing that's really driving your decision. For example, if you look at market development, you have diversification, you have market penetration, you have product development. Depending on what it is you want to do, if you have an existing product, an existing market, you can explore that. You could look for a strategy that will work best for you. So it's about looking for what would really work best for you. You have to be as flexible as possible, right, in coming up with a growth strategy, right? So for this case, it can be a combination of two strategies, given that it is suitable for your customer target, right? Or you could just explore one option again. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Awesome. Any other question? Consumer, do you have question? Do you have any question?
Sir, my question was similar to what he asked, so I don't really have a question.
Okay, awesome. So that would be all. Ben, do you have anything to say before we do you have any deliverables?
Great session, guys. It's been a learning curve for me as well. As far as deliverable goes, I would communicate with Henry as to how and what we need to include in this week's deliverable. But as it is, think during the next class we'll get to discuss financial modeling. That is when what Henry talked about regarding, you know, building projections from the perspective of venture capitals, from the perspective of investors would make more sense. But given where we are, given the stages where we are still trying to validate a lot of our hypotheses with, uh, with our customer groups, I'd say that all we need to do is double down on reaching out to on selling this first prototype or running end-to-end service for proposed client or potential clients, and then you guys whatever feedback iterate on it to see how we can scale, because that's what this topic is about, how you can build that $100 million annual recurring revenue startup. So again, the first step is making sure we're able to create that problem solution fit, that problem market fit next, and then we're able to scale it like across board. But yeah, anything concerning deliverable would be added to Trello. Hopefully, before any of you gets to schedule an office hour session with any of the partners.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, for that. So I think at this point, I believe we've been able to give you guys quite a lot of resources to get you at the point. Now, let me let you guys know something. We've been working on the background. We've been doing a lot of things for you to. We've been putting together a lot of resources that will really help you guys out there. But as it is, we need you guys to also keep up with the pace of things. So please, again, let me say something. We are. I don't know how to explain. Things can be really busy on our end, and it would help a lot. For example, I was waiting for a delivery from you. I didn't call Emmanuel, and it happened to be already submitted on Trello. It doesn't not stop you from chatting me up on WhatsApp or even Slack. So I've submitted this, so you can notify me. I can just go and check this thing out. So if there's any other thing that we need to do to follow up, we just keep up the momentum like that. Again, you're not doing this for me. It's for you actually. Okay, what's the next step? You submitted this. You let us know so we can keep working on that. So, anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know that we have things we're preparing for you guys, and the reason why we can't even start bringing those things to your table right now is because we need you guys to a point where we are sure, okay, these guys are ready for the outside world, so to speak. But you guys should prepare for a lot of PR, a lot of, PR most important, the interviews from, big ecosystem players that can, help give you visibility. And believe me, once you start getting such visibility, you need to be sure that you guys are ready. So that in case you have a customer that is knocking, you can't be, or you need to leverage whatever it is. For example, if we are able to get you guys outside PRs like this, you should at least have a landing page where even if you guys are not yet, operational, you can collect weights. You can collect, a wait list of interested individuals that want to try or use your product. So this is why we need you guys to work as fast as you can. I know you guys are trying. Believe me, I really know. Given the whole circumstances, given the whole thing you have to battle and life, but yes, please let's double down on things and so particularly Emmanuel, I know you've gotten to the point of doing some financial stuff. Next week we're talking about financial projection. That one is more like a practical stuff. And if everything I've been telling you guys to do since that, if it's not ready, that means you won't really have anything to run in financial. I mean, you guys need money now to get started. And we are already speaking with a couple of people that could be interested in what you're doing. But we can't even confidently this is what we do. We help startups raise funds, and it will make sense for you guys to meet us halfway so we can even plug you guys in the pipeline, because truly it takes a long time to raise funds. Don't think it takes a lot of time to raise funds. And so the best time to start looking for funds is when you don't even need it yet. That's the best time to start looking for funds. So by the time you get to a point where you now need it, you've already gotten to a point where at least you've kickstarted the discussion way ahead before the time comes. So please, guys, I need you guys to double down. I mean, we are approaching the end of this program, so to speak. I think we have this is the last month, and we need just expect things to be super on point, really. Please, any deliverable you have, especially those ones that have been, by tomorrow I'll take them to go through all your trend, or even maybe this night to look at. I don't really entertain the idea of seeing deliverables that has been there for since we started this program. I mean, it has a way of getting me tired and so please, let's double down on whatever it is we have and finish up. And so what I want to see, I'm giving you guys a heads up. I know we will send you deliverables for the week. You guys should prepare a pitch deck that you used to pitch next week by Monday. You guys, that we'll start with that. You've learned a lot. You've been building so far. Come back to us with a pitch deck, well-structured pitch deck that contains all the necessary, stuff. Let's start getting you guys prepared for that discussion. So prepare for a pitch. Prepare to pitch to us. It won't be like the last one. The last one was 3 minutes. That was more like introductory. You're pitching a complete. You're giving a complete pitch of what you're doing, what your startup is. So if you need any help, call on me. Call on Ben. Call on Cynthia. You have office hours with any of them, but make sure you work on this as well with every other thing you're doing. So I think that will be all from my end. Ben, you can wrap it up.
Okay, no, I was listening to already talk about deliverables, and in fact, this is what we're going to do. Even though the program may end in say 3 weeks' time, roughly, you guys won't be certified or have the certificate of completion if the deliverables on Trello aren't completed. You need to do justice to everything, and then we can, because we have strong KPIs tied to every single thing you see there. It shows the level of readiness, right? So I just wanted to check that in somewhere. So yes, any other information will be communicated, maybe on Slack or Emmanuel. Yes, this is for you. Adekule, we were supposed to schedule a meeting for last week. You didn't show up. No message from you. I even
very bad at it.
You said
very bad at it.
Honestly. So, what's happened?
Actually, what happened was that Thursday, I didn't go to the electronics person place, so I could not charge. All through, it was until Saturday before I could access my device. But I sent an email immediately I came online to you.
To me?
About yes, sir.
I didn't receive an email from you. Actually,
your email that go bags.
Oh, my Gmail. I see.
Yes.
You could have just leveraged the channel we use, which is Slack.
Exactly. That's why we have Slack. And if Slack doesn't work, you just do WhatsApp. It's easier, and we can see such.
It really tells a lot. We are really trying to train you guys as to how to really build integrity with stakeholders. With partners, with clients, with investors. You need to be forthcoming, right, as much as possible. Make sure you're tying all those ends when it comes to communication and keeping up with, with the engagements with people. It tells a lot about a founder, a lot. All right, so I look forward to our office hour session this week. No problem. No problem. So yeah, I think Eric, that's a wrap for me. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm supposed to speak with someone today. That's Akonji Malen. Is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are meeting today, right, by 8.
Yes.
Your yes is not strong, though. Let me know if it's not.
Sorry, yes. This one is important too.
Okay. All right.
So that's it has to go.
Okay, so we meet by 8. Okay, guys, nice one. Great session. Please keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Don't get discouraged. Keep building. We're almost there. And I'm really looking forward to putting you guys out there. Let's get started. Let's get started already. And I'm happy for the progress made so far. So we circle back on with deliverables and assignments. Then we'll see you at office hours. Okay, guys. Bye bye. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Nice.